Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and whom I learned this truth from. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, which is what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS are doing, going out onto the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles on the internet, and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. The men of the Lord watching the news and reading the scriptures, and then filtering the news through the scriptures to go out and prophesy, and as it says, that he may run that readeth it, when the hopeful elect hear the words of the prophets and see that the prophecies are taking place. They do everything they can to repent from the sinful life they've been living and to get closer to their power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi, so they can have that protective hedge over them during the calamities of Jacob's trouble and ultimately receive salvation. Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Every single prophecy stated to take place in the scriptures will come to pass, and nothing will stop the prophecies of the Bible from coming to their fulfillment. As it also says in Isaiah 55 verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. Though it may seem like it's taking place, taking its sweet time to take place, we're on human time. We're not on the Most High's time, which in the spirit world, all these prophecies have already been fulfilled. It's just playing out in the physical realm. Remember, 1,000 years is as a day to the Most High. So up there, things are going very quickly. And we know, according to the scriptures, that World War III will take place and that it will go nuclear. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter, World War II, which is past, and World War III, which is quickly coming. And like I just said, it will go nuclear. This is 2 Peter chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. And what's going to melt the elements with fervent heat and burn up the works in the earth? Nuclear missiles being shot to the ends of the earth during World War III. And again, as it said in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, though it tarry, wait for it will surely come. It will not tarry. And what have you been hearing about a lot in the news lately? Talks of World War III, talks of nuclear weapons being used. And this is just an indicator to know just how close we are to these prophecies dealing with World War III and nuclear destruction taking place. And I'm going to go into another article in this video just to further show that point. And this article is on the WashingtonExaminer.com, and the title reads, Biden warns of nuclear Armageddon. The elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the works that are in the earth shall be burned up. President Joe Biden spoke of nuclear Armageddon in a warning about escalation in Russia's war in Ukraine during a speech to Democrats on Thursday. At a fundraiser for the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, Biden said the risk has not been this high since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, when John F. Kennedy was president, going further in rhetoric than any other member of his administration. And that's because we're living in the last days. really the last seconds of the last days, before the end of this current age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the biblical Edomites, who are known as these so-called white people, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under the children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis, Biden said in New York City. And who are the two main players in the Cuban Missile Crisis? The United States of America and Russia, which was known as the Soviet Union back then. And that's by no coincidence, because the United States and Russia are going to be the two main players in this third woe. He said, Russian President Vladimir Putin is not joking when he talks about the use of tactical nuclear weapons or biological or chemical weapons. This is because, Biden said, his military is, you might say, significantly underperforming, according to the Associated Press. And that's just more propaganda, because best believe that the Russians are winning the war in Ukraine. And it's still up in the air on whether Putin is going to use low-yield tactical nukes in Ukraine, which Abaratazahi does. There's never anything wrong with Edomite on Edomite violence, but best believe it's going to go to high-yield, above tactical nukes. It's going to go to those big boys during the real main event, World War III. Last month, Putin raised concerns in the West when he vowed to defend the territorial integrity of our motherland by all the means at our disposal, remarks that were widely interpreted as a nuclear threat. I don't think there is any such a thing as the ability to easily use a tactical nuclear weapon and not end up with Armageddon, Biden said. And hey, like I just said, it's going to get much bigger than low-yield tactical nukes. Hey, them big boys are going to be shot to the ends of the earth during World War III. So with this article, you get the point. Now let's get back to these precepts. This is Joel chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 1 to 6. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Again, the men of the Lord, standing upon their watch, and watching the visions, and writing them down, making them plain upon tables, that the elect may run when they readeth it. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, referring to the nuclear missiles. There had not been ever the like, speaking about how these nuclear weapons came about very recently, beginning with those 2 atomic bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima during the second woe, World War II. Neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. When these nuclear missiles get to flying, every single one of them will be used, and after the dust settles, Yahushai HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, along with the 144,000, the men of the Lord who are fishers of men right now, prophesying and waking up the rest of the elect, in that day, they're going to be hunters of men in those new spiritual bodies, going to everywhere you heathens dwell and slapping chains on you so you can serve as slaves, building up the kingdom of heaven for the first 1,000 years. And the first groups of slaves are going to be you elites and you other higher-ups in society, you Rothschilds, you Rockefellers, etc., etc. A fire devoureth before them, that warhead at the front of the missile with all the destruction, and behind them a flame burneth, the rocket booster on the back of the missile. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them. The land looks normal. You've got cities, parks, people and animals, life going on as usual, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. After those nuclear missiles hit their targets, the land is turned into a desolate wasteland, like Mad Max or Fallout, any of these other post-apocalyptic movies you watch. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array, and what is stubble, whatever's left after getting burned up. Before their face, the people shall be much pained, the people in pain and anguish and screaming, trying to scramble to get to safety when they hear those nuclear warning sirens going off and they see those missiles flying in the sky. All faces shall gather blackness, or ash, or soot, these people getting burnt up by these nuclear missiles. And like I said a little earlier, who are the two main combatants in the Cuban Missile Crisis? The United States of America and Russia. That's because they're going to be the two main characters in World War III dealing with these nukes. But the thing is that Russia will survive. As for the United States of America, it's going to be completely wiped off the map. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north. And what's north of the United States of America? Canada, that Arctic Ocean region, and then Russia. And it's a well-known fact that Russia shooting missiles from itself across the Arctic Ocean, as well as shooting missiles from its military assets in that Arctic Ocean region, which they've been building up over the past couple of years, that would be the shortest trajectory time it would take for those missiles to reach the U.S. And just recently, they're saying that a Russian submarine armed with the Poseidon nuclear weapon in the Arctic Ocean region has suddenly gone missing, and a great nation and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth, from one end of the earth even unto the other. Russia's allies like China, Iran, and North Korea, but also the allies of the United States of America like Britain, France, and these other nations, NATO nations, that are going to turn against the U.S. at some point during World War III and ally themselves with Russia. They shall hold the bow and the lance, speaking of those nuclear missiles, because what do bows shoot? Arrows, speaking of those silos and other launch platforms the missiles are going to be fired from. And what you have to remember is that when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they weren't going to say, oh, this was a Satan II nuclear missile. This was a ICBM. This was Fat Man or Little Boy or anything like that. They were going to describe those nuclear missiles with what they knew during their times, ancient weapons of war and instruments, bows and arrows, lances, chariots, horsemen, flying swords. They are cruel and will not shew mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses. Every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, the United States of America. I'm going to jump up to verse 40. As the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh. And ancient Sodom and Gomorrah was overthrown with fire and brimstone from the sky. And besides being known as the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great in the scriptures, the United States of America is also known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8. And it's easy to see why the United States of America is known as spiritual Sodom. This is the #1 country that pushes the alphabet group, beginning with LG, and their lifestyle onto the rest of the planet. Their social media, Hollywood, their political policies, etc., etc. What just happened back in the month of June, Pride Month. And just as ancient Sodom and Gomorrah was overthrown with fire and brimstone from the sky, this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah is going to be overthrown with modern fire and brimstone. Nuclear missiles, 200 million to be exact, which are going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards, where man, woman, or child will never set foot on ever again. As it says, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. And after a time, only desert creatures are going to dwell here. Therefore, the wild beasts of the desert, with the wild beasts of the islands, shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein. And it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. And we know this isn't talking about ancient Babylon, which is in Iraq. People are still dwelling in Iraq to this very day. And when everything's said and done, the former United States of America, the daughter of Babylon, that great whore, is going to stand as an eternal memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looked like, how not to govern the earth, and what the judgment and punishment was for afflicting the apple of the Most High's eye, the children of Israel, who are again known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. And that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.